the blush police, who named themselves in the comments, will be happy that I am putting blush on my chin. What is up, guys? Welcome back. I'm calling this video the rare beauty review that no one asked for because it is so far overdue. If you are unaware, I batch filmed because I was moving, and so I worked like a couple of weeks ahead, and I actually already filmed this video once, but I just wasn't familiar enough with the products and I made them look bad. I made them look like they were subpar quality when they're not really. They just require a little bit more experience than I had with them. So today I have 3 of the new blushes. They have this lovely little Polly Pocket shape and this little like thumbprint situation on the actual blush. I bought 3 colors, and spoiler, you don't need to buy 3 colors. I got 1 shade in her liquid eyeshadow here because I was not anticipating liking it, and so I didn't want to, like, you know, go nuts. But I got this in Nearly Mauve, and then I got 1 of her new lippies. This is the Nearly Neutral Balm, and much like a lot of the lip glosses that we've been loving on my channel recently, this is a liquid lip balm similar to Rowan or Vesca or Fit Glow, and so I'm going to be swatching all of those next to each other towards the end of the video to show you guys the differences in opacity and finish and things like that. And first, we're gonna start by putting all the stuff on my face. So I'm gonna move y'all in. We will chat through all of this now that I've had a little bit more experience with it, and I'll give you my final thoughts at the end, so let's jump in. Is that any closer? I don't even know if that's actually closer. Again, getting used to my new filming setup. So I'm gonna go ahead and zoom through my actual foundation situation here because I am using All Rare Beauty for that, and I have done a video previously on these products, the first release. I don't have her eyeshadows because they were part of a holiday release, and I don't know, I think a lot of people really liked them because they were able to make them work in their routines, but for me it was just like a color story that didn't make sense to me, and it didn't feel native to her collection either, so I didn't bother with those. They just kind of flew past me. But I have gotten to where I really like this foundation now that I'm wearing something very dewy underneath it. I've been using the Supergoop Daily Dose sunscreen with it, and it's got a really beautiful kind of serum-y, balmy finish, and I feel like that helps immensely with making something like this work because it does have a dry down on its own. Great shade match. I have this shade 130N, and this is all a review of her Stay Vulnerable collection, which again, I am the last person on the internet to actually review this because most people, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of the people in my orbit got it in PR. But I am not on her PR list. I'm kind of thinking it's probably because I have not given these products like the best review in the past, but I'm just trying to be honest. Not that the other people are not honest, just some things are for some people and some things aren't. And I have managed to make this work. I do want to commend her on this shade range for the foundation and the concealer because it is really, really huge. It's just huge. I also have some irritation here. I laid off of my retinol for a minute because my skin was so dry upon moving, and everything kind of freaked out. It's not something that your skin takes kindly to, just quitting cold turkey. But this is also the Rare Beauty concealer. I have it a little bit too fair. I have it in the shade 110N. I think you're supposed to like match it, you know, just buy the one that was the same shade as your foundation, but I did not. I went a little too bright. Okay, so I'm actually going to fast forward through the next part, and I'm going to be putting on all of my contour and my bronzer and stuff out of my Salt New York palette, so let's do that. So I do find that this whole collection lends itself less than I would have hoped to kind of one and done cheeks. There are definitely products out there that I don't feel like I have to use a contour and a bronzer in order to make the blush work, but you guys saw my farewell to my old house video. That's not really what it was. It was in empties and it was telling you guys that I was moving, and my whole face was pink because I had tried to watercolor with these blushes, and they are so much more pigmented than I expected them to be, and they're a little bit hard to move around once you have other things on your face without like picking other things up, that once I had actually like layered all 3 of them, there was no going back. And I rarely, Rare Beauty, find myself in a predicament like that. You guys know I typically go in with tons of blush and then like work my way back out of it, and this one I just couldn't work my way back out of it. It was like worse than cloud paint in terms of like the way that when you dabbed it on, it was way more than you expected it to be. So I'm not sure I'm even gonna use all 3 shades today. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch them for you, and we will kind of get into my instincts when I first saw this collection versus the reality of them, and maybe that there isn't that much of a difference between the 2. All right, so these are the ones that I picked up. This is actually Nearly Mauve, which actually looks a little rosier than I expected it to. This is Nearly Neutral, which is also pinker than I thought it was going to be. Mauve actually means purple, someone told me, you know, in French, so it's just, there's no purple there at all, but I guess that's why it's Nearly Mauve. And then this is Nearly Berry. Now, those look very distinct, right, on the skin when I swatch them, but when you start to watercolor them and you blend them out, they kind of just start to look like all the same thing. And the way that I got myself into trouble was applying it on my forehead and thinking it was going to be, the Nearly Neutral was going to be kind of like a bronzer shade on me, and it ended up just turning my whole face pink. So we're going to go in with a little bit more measured of a touch today. I've got a Thrive brush here, and we are going to start with Nearly Neutral, and I'm going to be far more judicious than I was before. I think I have deleted the footage, but you guys could see I had pink all in my hairline in that video because I had attempted to kind of move the product around after it had been down on my face, and it just did not work. I was trying to give myself Fjord's cheeks with the Nearly Berry after watercoloring this stuff on, and I think that really what needed to happen, I was kind of trying to keep it only to Rare Beauty on my face, and what needed to happen is I needed contour and I needed bronzer first and foremost, instead of trying to accomplish it all with this, because what happens with these is that they all start to go sort of the same shade of pink. The initial impression that I got from it, and it was the same thing that Hannah Louise Poston was talking about when she sort of reviewed it before, you know, she didn't end up buying it. It was sort of a, you know, reviewing new beauty releases kind of thing. And she talked about how these are such common shades, and, you know, is it really rare if they're that common kind of thing. They're such common shades that you probably, if you have any size makeup collection and you like cream products, you probably already own these colors, sort of thing. And that was something I talked about in the video about Sam Ravindall's new collection, is trying to walk that line, right, of making something that's compelling enough that someone feels like it's unique, but making something that is usable in terms of colors that are well worn and proven out to work on people. And this one went kind of all the way to one side of just being like pure comfort zone. And so if this is a formula that is like super, super unique, you know, to your collection, maybe it's worth it to you. But in terms of the shades, if you have a sizable collection of any kind at this point, like you probably already own these shades. I like that. I think that that is very pretty, and that was a lot better of a job than the last time that I did it. Now, the mauve shades in general just disappoint me because they're not mauve. I mean, I like Mauve Wives, okay? That is Fenty Mauve Wives, and I pronounce it that way because it's a pun, Mauve Wives. But I understand that there is no, you know, agreed upon definition of what mauve is supposed to look like, but I think of it as more of like a lilac, you know, purple kind of undertone, and this is very purely rose, you know, and there is a Nearly Rose, I think, in this collection. And so that was what was hard for me, was looking at the swatches that people had shown online. I just got cross-eyed. I was like, that doesn't look like mauve, that doesn't look like rose, that doesn't look like neutral. I wanted neutral to be more brown, and I wanted the rose to be more pink, and I wanted the mauve to be more purple, and they all just kind of fell towards the middle. And so that was why, I don't know, I feel like it's easy to overlook this collection, and I probably shouldn't have bought as many shades as I did. Okay, lesson learned. I put too many of these on my face last time. I'm going to skip Nearly Mauve because it's just too similar. It's kind of halfway in between the two. And I'm just going to go in with the Nearly Berry so that we can all get the satisfaction of Fjord's cheeks in this video, but without putting way too much product on my face, hopefully. Fingers crossed. The last time that I did it, I also used a sponge. I would not recommend that. It picks up too much product. You think the butt of a beauty sponge would go really nicely in here, and it does, but it picks up so much product and it's really hard to control. And I'm sure that this is a great little formula or a great little delivery system for fingers, if you are a fingers person. You know, someone who likes to apply things with their fingers. I am not, that's not my first inclination. I don't love to stick my fingers in my products. Okay, and here, you know, I'm trying to kind of blend this in with my under eye concealer, and I still feel like I have a little too much product on my brush to do that. So I'm gonna grab another brush here. I do think we're getting something really pretty out of it. Wah, get off of me. Oh, my lips are so dry. All I do is apply lip balm, but I think I might have to find some next level lip balms now that I live in very cold weather. Okay, I know that you guys didn't see it the first time that I belly flopped, but just trust me when I say that is way better. Way better than before. And I'm just going to go in with highlighter. Oh, I have Rare Beauty highlighter. Hang on, I'll grab that. Yeah, this was actually one of the products that I liked the most from her initial release. And I have this in the shade Mesmerize, and it's going to go really beautifully with this, I think, because it's kind of a really pretty rose color. So yeah, I belonged to the mindset that there was a pink for everybody for a long time, and there actually isn't. Not everybody wants to wear pink. Pink is not a naturally occurring tone in everybody's skin, and so that's why I feel like the color story here is a little bit disappointing, is because I feel like they all got, it's like they got scared to take a toe out of line, which is just so strange because those eyeshadow collections for the holidays were just like far off into left field and far off into right field. So, you know, I don't know, maybe they have different teams at their organization or something, but this feels so safe. Okay, very pretty. Now I am going to use, this is actually good that I'm refilming this, is because I did end up picking up the Rare Beauty, it doesn't have a name, but it's like a cream eyeshadow brush, which is fantastic. And you guys told me that this existed, and I'm glad that I bought it. So I got Nearly Mauve in her eyeshadow, and it's slightly cooler, you could argue. Yes, but if you, I don't know, guys. I mean, if you absolutely like put me up against a wall and told me I had to name that shade, mauve would not be what I would go for. It would not be the first 10 things I would go for. It's a dusty rose color. So I was not expecting to like this formula, because a liquid eyeshadow like this a lot of times is either chalky and doesn't layer well, kind of the criticism that comes from the Sky Wash from Glossier, or it's so dewy creamy that all it does is crease like the devil. But this actually meets in the middle. It reminds me, honestly, like, right, there's nothing new on planet Earth, okay? And so as I am applying this, I'm like, okay, this is very different from a lot of eyeshadow formulas that I've tried, but it's similar to something else, right? And what is it similar to? A liquid lipstick. That's how it feels. It feels creamy, balmy, and then it does dry down, and it does blend out and sheer out, but it doesn't feel as much like an eye product as it does a lip product, which is not a criticism. I'm just trying to give you guys an idea of what it's like. Okay, and I think that it actually has strength in that fact, because it isn't like the Sky Washes. The Sky Washes from Glossier get a lot of flack because they really don't work on deep skin tones. When you try and layer them up, they get really patchy and chalky, especially like the really fun shades, you know, the like sky blue color and everything. And, you know, it needs to work for everybody if you're going to put it out. So I think that this is a much more consistent formula, and it has a lot less of that chalky quality to it. It does dry down to the point where it's budge resistant. You know, it's not completely like waterproof, smudge proof the way that the Sky Wash is. But I mean, do we really need that? I don't need that. This is fine, you know? I don't need like 24 hours of wear time. And it's very pretty. I do think it's odd, again, from the standpoint of the color story, that, and I'm not mad at it because I love a tonal look, but pink eyeshadow. You know what I mean? These are all like, this is the purple one, and it's not purple at all. You know, you are working with a completely like tonal palette, meaning that you are putting all the same shades on your face. And so all of the liquid eyeshadows in her entire range at this point are some shade of pink, which is, it's a choice. So yeah, that's that. You know, I like it. It kind of reminds me of the Vesca ones, except with no glitter. Like the Vesca ones are crazy, awesome, shimmery. By the way, I do have a Vesca part 2 coming your way pretty soon. I haven't filmed it yet, but that'll probably be the next thing that I film. And they sent me all the stuff that I was talking about wanting at the end of the last Vesca review. They just sent me a box of all of it. So we're gonna have so much fun. And I also have like more than a full face of cruelty-free drugstore products that have been blowing my mind lately, and I cannot wait to show them to you. And I also have a new foundation that I decided to try that is like a game changer, and I don't think that anybody like would offhandedly really care, but I want to bring it to your attention because I think it's important. So all that to say, I want to add a little bit more something to my eyes to kind of bring this together. I think one of the sort of failures that I had in the original video, like I said, was kind of trying to let all this stuff speak for itself and stand alone, and it really does need a little bit of something. I think that this actually goes pretty nicely with it. So this is the Eyes to Mesmerize from, nope, it's not. This is Exaggerize from Charlotte Tilbury. And I'm just going to use that coveted, crazy browny mauvey shade that's, you know, a perfect matte for my crease. And I'm just going to use, it's very, very similar in tone to the Rare Beauty eyeshadow. And I'm just going to use that to deepen the crease in a very subtle way. There are different approaches for every skin tone for eyeshadow in terms of mixing to get what you want and the way that something is going to function in terms of like adding depth. And you know, for some people, putting this color on top of the color that's already down wouldn't even show up, but because I am so milky pale, just adding that little bit, even though it's almost exactly the same color, it still enhances the crease without making it like, you know, really dark brown or super dramatic. I like that a lot. This is a Sigma E40. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's just what I had in my hand. What I had sitting in front of me. The things that end up getting packed. Man, when you're moving, you always go into it with the best of intentions. I truly believe that there is no way to avoid that last second scramble. Unless you like hire somebody to just like white glove the whole thing, I really believe that you're always going to end up at the very end with the movers there, just being like, throw it in a box. That's what we ended up doing. And so we have a lot of like very well taken care of, you know, kitchen stuff. All of our wine glasses made it, you know, intact and everything, because that was among the first things that we packed. And then you get into these boxes that just say miscellaneous on them, and you open them and you're like, oh, what in the world? And then we ended up actually taking our bed apart, or I thought that I had taken all the screws out of the bed. And then Mike went in and took what he thought were the rest of the screws out of the bed. And then we found out that still wasn't it. And we took out the rest of the screws in the bed. So yesterday I ran around the house like a chicken with my head cut off, hunting down 3 different bags of hardware and figuring out how to put our bed back together. They were all in unmarked boxes. It was, in hindsight, hilarious. At the time, less so. All right, pencil brush. I'm going to go in with a little bit of inner quarter highlight from, did I say quarter? Inner corner highlight from Aether. And I am trying to let that eyeshadow sort of stand alone, but I feel like I'm nothing without just a little bit of glitter on my lids. In this case, at least, I am going to go into Exaggerize into that translucent glitter. At least it won't cover it up, and we'll just kind of piggyback on that inner corner highlight and add a little something here. Just so that it catches the light, because my lids tend to go flat. You put one color on there and I lose all of the illusion that I have, you know, any bigger of eyelids than I do. I like that. It's a little different. I'm gonna do my eyeliner and my brows and my mascara and everything, and then we will come back and do lips. I will be right back. Okay, so I'm really enjoying what we have going on here. And I do feel like I added, you know, my own little touches here and there to what she probably had in mind for this stuff. But I do feel like the eyeshadow stays relevant. Stays vulnerable. It stays relevant. Like, even though I have other stuff going on, it's still serving a purpose. So I do feel like we could go in with just a little bit more blush. And now that my face has kind of, I don't know, eaten it a little bit. And so I'm gonna actually go in, I can't figure it out, a nearly neutral, I'm gonna go in with the nearly mauve. I was like looking for nearly rose because that was what, wait, what? That's nearly berry. This is like playing the shell game. Nearly mauve, oh my gosh. So I'm just going to take a touch of that right on the apples of my cheeks. I feel like there's always a little bit more room to play once I get my eyes on, because it just adds a sharper focus to everything. Little snow bunny nose. The blush police, who named themselves in the comments, will be happy that I am putting blush on my chin. You know, we have a whole organization now, a whole civilization around blush. Of course, there needs to be a municipal blush police. I understand, it's fine. I'm actually gonna touch up underneath my eyes too with a little bit of concealer, just because I feel like I rubbed a lot of it away. Also, I feel like people think you're a monster if you don't at some point in a Rare Beauty video mention that these lids are probably, the brand has never actually confirmed this to my knowledge, but you know, they're made to be easy to open because Selena Gomez has arthritis. So I said it, I'm not a monster. At least not on that account. I always expect this concealer to be a little bit higher coverage than it is, and it's actually kind of medium, which is good. You just kind of have to know what you're getting yourself into one way or the other, you know? Okay, let's talk lips, because we have this whole menagerie of lip products to compare this to, and I'm actually going to compare the cheeks to something in a second too. So the Rare Beauty, I have this in nearly neutral, and I'm gonna go ahead and swatch this against all of the other things in my collection that I think are similar to it. All right, so let's see if I can remember what I just swatched on my hand. How about that? Okay, so this is the Rare Beauty in nearly neutral. This is, what did I put on there next? Oh, this is Ginger Lily from Vesca, which is, spoiler, my new favorite. This is one of the Ilia Balmy glosses in the shade Petals. This is the Rowan in Charlie. And the last one here is Root from Fit Glow. They're all really similar, and it's better if I just kind of explain the differences. So Fit Glow is gonna be, it's an exceptional formula. It's very, very good, and it smells like vanilla. It's always gonna get me on that. The Vesca is probably the next more viscous and more pigmented, and then I would go with probably Rowan. I don't really like the Ilia Balmy glosses. They don't have a lot of staying power, and again, they are all in shades of pink and pink only. And then this Rare Beauty one is also quite sheer, but it has a really, really nice bounce to it, but it's not quite as thick as the Fit Glow and the Vesca. It's more like the Rowan, but it doesn't have the minty plumping quality that the Rowan does. So I'm going to start with my khaki lip liner because I always do, but also, doesn't that look like that's the color you would think of for like nearly neutral, right? It's like a very neutral. But anyway, I do want to say that regardless of brand, I love that this is a formula type that is coming into the mainstream. It's kind of like tubing mascaras. It's something that the first time that I tried it, I was like, why isn't everything like this? And people are getting on board, brands are getting on board. So, you know, we went through the whole dry down matte liquid lip phase where, you know, we all had, you know, buttholes for mouths. And then we went through the super sticky gloss phase again, which I'm a big fan of. I love a really, really beautiful, like bouncy gloss, but this gets to this formula, all of those get to that same bouncy thing while also being nourishing and being not sticky. I don't know how they do it, it's weird. So it's actually pretty darn close to my khaki lip liner in color. but much sheerer in pigmentation, which is great. It feels really good. It is, like I said, it's a little bit thinner than the ones that I probably would prefer, but I don't hate it at all. I think really what it comes down to with these kinds of formulas, because they are pretty similar, is just, you know, finding a shade that you like. The Rowan only comes in 4 shades. The Fit Glow comes in tons of shades, but unless you find it in like a mini or on sale, each time you buy a shade, it's $42, which is a lot of lip gloss, but if you wanted a bunch of shades, it's, you know, you have to kind of wait for some sort of special. And this is a lot, all of her stuff, all of the Rare Beauty stuff is a little bit more affordable than a lot of the stuff at Sephora. So that's a full look of the Rare Beauty, and I think it's really pretty. It turned out a lot better than the last time. A lot better than the last time. So let's talk prices and, I don't know, talk about these products individually for just a second, and then I will give you guys my final thoughts on these because I have had more than just this video as a chance to play with them. So all of these come in 5 shades. There is Nearly Neutral, Nearly Apricot, which is the orangier one, the Nearly Rose, Nearly Mauve, and Nearly Berry. And in the eyeshadow, I feel like they look the most distinct from one another, but when we're talking about the blushes, they really, unless you apply a whole bunch of them, all but probably the orange one tend to kind of look sort of the same. So yeah, I got 3 of 5 of those. Those are $21 as opposed to the original blush, which I said I was going to swatch against these. Hang on. And this is the original blush. This is Enjoy. So ultra different in formula. I just kind of wanted to call that out. Not even in the, you know, the same color family here, but I mean, like, that's the opacity of the new blush, the melting blush, and then this is the opacity of the original one, and it is bonkers. It's crazy, crazy pigmented. I think it's pretty hard to work with because of that, because it dries down really fast. So I do prefer the new ones. The liquid eyeshadow is $20 and the Stay Vulnerable Glossy Lip Balm is $18. Again, she's just not gouging us. Those are pretty darn good prices for prestige beauty. So now that I've got all this on my face and we finally got around to getting a good look out of this, let's go ahead and chat my final thoughts here. So, do I think that these formulas are really beautiful? I do, and I didn't expect to, especially when I first used the blushes. I really anticipated wanting to just pound them on like I had other blushes in the past, and even though they're not anywhere near as pigmented as her previous formula, I still feel like they pack a punch, and when I understood how to use them better, I was able to get something really pretty and really lightweight. They're very dimethicone-y. Now, if you are looking for a formula similar to that, but you want more variety in shades, I would definitely go with the Salt New York. Very similar, and she has taken silicones out of her formula. So if that appeals to you, I have that link down below, 30% off bundles on Salt New York. If for whatever reason this is like a formula that appeals to you, but you'd rather go kind of zero waste and, you know, different color ranges. So anyway, that is sort of the comparison that I would make in terms of opacity, performance. They're very, very similar in formula. And the eye is actually probably the most unique one. I mean, I love the lip, I do, but it's easy to compare obviously to a lot of other things in my collection. The eye is different because it's not like the Sky Wash. It's not chalky, but it's also not like a creamy balm on the eyes. I would say it behaves similarly to the Vesca, except that it doesn't go down to like a powder in that sense because it's not glittery. It's kind of like all one creamy matte shade. And I feel like it performs better than the sum of its parts. You know, for all the things that I was able to put on top of it, I feel like it really like made me look like I knew what I was doing, and I did not expect to like it that much. I also really like this little brush. I think that this is awesome. And the lip, you guys, again, with this kind of formula, just pick your fighter in terms of the color that you want. I hope that I was able to kind of illuminate a little bit of the nuanced differences between those formulas, but anything right now that calls itself a liquid lip balm is going to have this awesome, bouncy, glossy texture that's not sticky, and it's fantastic. And I actually really like this shade. I've been wearing it a lot lately. And I think that this is, from a color story standpoint, not that appealing to me because I do have such a large collection and I do feel like these are so safe. But for that same reason, they might really appeal to people who just don't want to experiment. They want something they can trust. They want something that's easy to work with. They want something that is like a one and done, solve the problem. That's what this aims to do. And I think that she really accomplished that. Actually, I don't know if that's what she aimed to do, but that's what it seems like it aims to do, and it really does accomplish that. And I feel like the formula is consistent, kind of shade to shade to shade. I should have tried the apricot just for the sake of comparison, and I think in the future I'll probably go for a little bit more diverse of like a color selection, because I didn't realize that like buying the mauve was going to end up so pink and that the berry was going to still read so pink. Like these all, with the exception I think of the apricot because I don't have it in my hands, kind of all come out the same color on my skin. And that is probably my only criticism here, is it's just sort of like a pink haze aside from the apricot. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I do really like where this brand is going. I know I don't always give them like glowing reviews, but I think that for the packaging, the experience, the nuanced originality of it, and the point of view that she does seem to have when she's releasing products, and also the price point for what you're getting, I think that Rare Beauty is a really cool brand, and I'm glad that it is at Sephora. I'm glad that it is something that's happening right now, and I am excited to see what else she puts out. I feel like the more I use her products, the more I get used to the formulas that she's putting out, the more I like them over time. So yeah, I think that this look ended up super beautiful. I, have no problem wearing this all day. And I do like also that it is all really nourishing. Once I put something kind of highlighty, balmy underneath that foundation and it doesn't suck me dry, the rest of it does feel really nourishing and wear really beautifully all day, but it does give me just a touch of blur in a good way. So yeah, I know that this is the review that no one asked for, because except for Alicia Passos. You're the only one. You were like, I just want to know. But other than that, there were not a lot of people who really cared about this because I waited way too long to review it. But here we are. I still wanted to have, the encyclopedic knowledge, the exhaustive reviews for you guys. So I hope that you did appreciate it, even if it was just something to help you pass the time. If you did enjoy this video, guys, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you did. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today, guys. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.